Recently, the respectable forces of the Guardians of Hyjal allied with a number of brave adventurers, a few of the legendary and powerful demigods, or ancients as they are called by some, including Goldrin, Cenarius, Aviana, and Tortola. Together, they have pushed back the forces of the Fire Lord Ragnaros, as well as a large number of Twilight cultists. In doing so, they have taken and restored most of what had been damaged at the top of Mount Hyjal. However, everything isn't quite as safe and tranquil as most would like to think it to be after the Fire Lord and Twilight Hammer's defeat. While the regrowth and sanctums of many demigods have been rebuilt, a horrific truth reveals itself. The forces that Ragnaros had sent to burn down Nordrassil to begin with, the same forces barely defeated by both the Guardians of Hyjal and the Ancients together, were but a tiny fraction of the Fire Lord's army. And now that everything looked to be in favor of the heroes of Azeroth, the tables turned. Gates to the Firelands that the Druids had thought to use to enter the Firelands and stop the threat that was Ragnaros once and for all, are now gateways for the elemental plane of fire's most horrific forces, and they seem to be swarming through every minute of the day and are barely kept at bay by the defenders of Nordrassil. When this sudden setback in the Druids' plans began, they were almost overrun by this sudden rush attack, but fortunately for all of Azeroth, Malfurion was, with a little help, capable of summoning a long-gone ancient. One who only met its match against one of the two demon lords of the Burning Legion, Malorn the White Stag, father of Cenarius. Malorn quickly defeated a powerful fire giant that seemed unstoppable, and gave the defenders of Azeroth a fighting chance, which they used to the limit and pushed back the molten invaders yet again. Now the battle rages on in the Firelands. Adventurers and druidic defenders are fighting fire elementals, molten giants, and worst of all, a sect of twisted druids. A sect formed by the former Archdruid of Darnassus, Fandral Staghelm. These Druids of the Flame are sinister druids worshipping the Fire Lord, and they're a big bunch of mean bastards. One of them even made barbecue out of one of Azeroth's greatest Archdruids, a Mulroom Totem. But more about them a little later. The battle goes on, and so far the defenders of Azeroth have only been capable of holding a beachhead within the Firelands. While the events at Nordrassil and within the Firelands unfold, an equally disturbing threat looms to the cold north. The Bronze Dragonflight, being quite informed on everything that goes on related to Azeroth, on and ahead of time, calls for the aid of powerful and brave adventurers to help them. Recently, they've looked into the future and seen the certain doom of Azeroth, but for some reason they can't find the root of this terrible outcome. But they'll have to do so soon if they want a chance to stop this cataclysmic event from happening. They send the adventurers on a quest to conjure an object called the All-Seeing Eye. The eye is created, and with it Anachronos discovers that the fate of Azeroth lies at the island Caldara, by the Nexus, home of the Blue Dragonflight. As the adventurers reach this place, they're pulled into an election. Yes, you heard me, an election. With Malygos dead, the Blue Dragonflight are in need of a new leader, and a new aspect of magic, and the title can only go to one worthy Blue Dragon, and for the moment there are two who are after this title. First being Kalecgos, the brave young blue dragon who, even with his youth, has had great influence regarding Azeroth over the years, and Argos, who has been guarding all magic within Ashara for centuries. While there, the adventurers fall deeper and deeper into the political chaos of the Blue Dragonflight. But with a little help from Terragosa, they find that one of the combatants for the title of Aspect isn't all in for fair political election. In fact, he's getting some help from a higher and much, much darker power. Shortly after this, back in Azeroth, Malfurion and the Dragon Aspects have taken up the task of restoring the World Tree Nordrassil to its former glory, and they're very confident that this will give them an undeniable edge against the forces of the Fireland and a chance to stop the attacks aimed for the World Tree, once and for all. However, they can't do this without some special help, that help being the Shamans of the Earthen Ring. They've called upon the greatest shaman the world has ever known, Goel, or as most people know him, Thrall, son of Duratan. With the combined power of Malfurion, the greatest druid alive, Thrall, the greatest shaman alive, and the Dragon Aspects, they should be capable of restoring the World Tree, if they're given the chance. And if you follow these guys' luck recently, you've already guessed it. A minor obstacle arrives just as they're about to start off with the ritual. 5 darkly clad cultists appear out of nowhere and their leader begins to trash talk, saying all sorts of mean things about poor Thrall. You know, the usual. While Malfurion and the Aspects are paralyzed, this dark figure splits Thrall into 4 pieces of pure elemental emotions and sends each piece to a different elemental plane, thus making it impossible to restore the World Tree without him. This major douchebag turns out to be Fandral Staghelm, new Majordomo of the Fire Lord. and his lackeys are clearly his loyal pyromaniacs, the Druids of the Flame. Adventurers are sent to free Thrall for the sake of all of Azeroth. We appreciate you guys listening to this little backstory, if you will, on what's going on and why we're here at this point in time with patch 4.2 in regards to the story, of course. And if you want to see how this all unfolds, all you got to do is play it. It's right there at your fingertips.